How's it going? Hey King Alien. Good to see ya. Alright, little bit different today. I'm gonna have the chat box off because I'm doing a GDQ submission. So, we see how it goes. I'm hoping we're gonna at least get some usable, submittable runs. I'm gonna do a ton of no resets. I'm gonna do at least like 3 to 5 no resets, and I'm just gonna submit the best one or the best no reset that has the best commentary. I would say it doesn't have to be the best run. My goal for this is sub 12, so it's extremely generous. It's basically as long as I don't game over, I should be okay. So we'll see how it goes. I'm also live a little bit earlier than I planned, and I'm gonna end a little bit earlier than planned. And that's also why I decided to do PinOut. Excuse me. Decided to do PinOut because I don't have that long to stream, and I might as well do a mobile stream on days that I don't have that long. So, well, just because it's easier for me to set up. So I will be doing that, hoping it goes well, and yeah, we'll just get into it. I'm hoping we don't get any audio shenanigans go on. If we get any audio shenanigans go on, I will probably just reset and then restart that that commentated run. The good thing is this is literally only going to be like 10 minutes per run, so hopefully there won't be too much going on in each one. Yeah, so I watched the direct yesterday. I sort of went through it a little bit. But I mean, the new Mario Kart tracks, they look alright. I know they showed off a few of them, and yeah, I do think there was a lot in there, a lot of different IPs, and that's a good thing. Because whenever I don't see that much from myself personally, I always think like, well, how many people are going to be happy with this that are not me, you know? And my evaluation is, I mean, there were a lot of RPGs in there, and there were a lot of farming stuff. There were a lot of games with farming in them. But I do think they did cover a lot, and they covered Pikmin. And I know how much Pikmin fans have been after a new game in a long time, and people, obviously, Pikmin Bloom doesn't really count as a mainline game. Also, hey Theon, Yes, good luck on the commentary, because that's harder than the run. Exactly. Yes, that is what I'm concerned about. I've never actually done proper submissions before. I've done submissions to things like UKSG. I've done 2 runs at UKSG. That is it. That's all I've done for speedrun marathons, so I'm hoping I can get in. I would love to show this game off, and I might be right in saying that it will be the second mobile game, which would be pretty cool. I know there's really not that much going on with PinOut in the mobile speedrunning Discord, so I am just keeping my fingers crossed. You know, who knows what's going to happen, but I thought, they're going online, this might be one of the last times they're doing an online only event. I thought, I've got to submit something, otherwise it's just a wasted opportunity, really. So yeah, we're gonna go for it. If not, I mean, I've submitted to ESA before, but that was like Mario Odyssey when it first came out, and there were people much more deserving of the spot than me, so I might try and submit there again, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna do a few commentated runs, and yeah, we'll just go from there, really. I'm gonna turn down the audio a little bit so I can hear what's going on. Turn down the music a fraction as well, and I'll turn up the effects a little bit, just so there's not really as much of an emphasis on that. Yeah, we'll do it like that, I think. Okay. Right. I need to think about what I want to cover. I think I need to sort of do a run just to get back into it and remember what I need to do, remember what I need to cover. That's really what I need to do first. So we shall give this a go. I'm going to close down the things I don't need, and right, let's get started. Oh yeah, I need a stack of Wii games actually, so I can actually not break my neck playing this game. I'll be right back. Also, I hope you enjoyed my Splatoon 3 OST picks, because there's some bangers in there. There's some pretty good bangers. Also, yeah, I should mention about Splatoon 3. I played the single player offline. I couldn't stop myself. I used it as a method of procrastination. So we don't have that for the stream now. But I am gonna speedrun it. I've joined the speedrun Discord, which is like the 20th one I'm in now. But that's how I know I'm going to try and do it. And I've been watching a lot of runs recently, and it looks really cool. So I'm going to be giving that a go. And I mean, any percent, it has a lot of skips, so maybe I won't start with any percent. Maybe I'll start with something easier, but who knows. Any percent's definitely the shortest for now. But the boards aren't actually up yet. They're up in a few days. Anyway, let's get into runs, and hope it goes alright. Let me close the preview as well. Okay, so this is PinOut. Would be good if I could get started. So this isn't actually going to be my submission. I'm just doing sort of practice commentary right now. So this is PinOut. It's a vertical scrolling pinball game, an endless pinball table pretty much. The aim of the game is just to get to the end, and each area is 1,000 points long, as indicated at the bottom. But it's not like most pinball games. There are mechanics in this game that separate it from anything else that's out there, really. Now, we have the in-game timer at the top. A bit weird having a timer count down in a speedrun instead of counting up. But there you go. So that is pretty much the way of making this an endless game, because once the time has run out, your game ends. But here we are collecting a lot of bonus time, so we're not actually going to let the timer run out today. But yeah, we're going to get into the first mini game there, and not actually going to be playing it because that is a mini game where you can get more bonus time by playing the game, but we will not be doing that today because that's very slow, and we don't need that much bonus time because it is any percent, and it can be helpful to get that bonus time, but we don't actually need that as long as we're taking the right ramps most of the time. So a lot of these you'll be seeing here are the right ramps to be taking. Now here I'm actually not going to take a ramp. Never mind, I'm going to go around. It is actually better to go in one of those gaps in the middle there, but it's totally fine to go around, and hey, it's a good backup anyway. More bonus time is definitely a good thing. Means we're not going to game over. So that is another area done. And here is where the run gets a little bit interesting for any percent. So we're going to take these first couple of ramps, and this area is quite long. So we're going to hope that we don't... well, we're going to hope when we get to this power-up, we're going to get push. Because it's going to allow us to skip most of the area. But if we don't get push, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, so slow motion is actually the worst one to get. So all these power-ups are going to mainly... allow for more bonus time, or it slows down the rate of using the bonus time at the top of the screen. So the ball has slowed down quite a lot, obviously not good for a speed run, but it also slows down the timer more than it slows down the ball, so it is a good thing for the bonus time, but of course not that good for the speed run, which is a bit unfortunate. But unfortunately, because we get pushed, we are going to have to play the full area, sadly. And this used to be a massive reset point in the run until there was a skip found with push. Basically, what I would have done with push is tried to... strange collision there. Yeah, so what I would have tried to do with push is I would actually have tried to hit the bumper, the left or right bumpers at the start here where the flippers are found. And if you collide with it at a certain angle, you actually get launched off the table or off the floor. And with push, it is essentially a power-up where you can move the ball, or you can tap to move the ball, or launch the ball left or right rather than use the flippers. And I could actually show it off after the run, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to get it here. So yeah, we are going to see it later on because it is actually a fixed power-up when we get to a certain point in the run. But we're now going to introduce cannons to the run. So we now have these cannons. They let you shoot left or right. There are generally better paths for each one. So there I'm going to take the left one. There's not really much of a difference, but there is extra time there. So it's better to do that for no reset purposes. Gonna go right here. Would have been a bit harder to take the left ramp there, or now I'm gonna go left. Nothing really goes your way unless you've got good timings in this game. So there we can actually sort of skip and do two at once there. We're gonna get another mini game, unfortunately, so we're just gonna lose the mini game deliberately. This is actually one of the slowest mini games to get in the game. There are 4 of them, 4 different mini games, and that's actually the slowest one, so it's a bit unfortunate, but it doesn't actually take up any in-game time on the timer, so it's not too bad for the purpose of this run. Unfortunately, you do get a little bit stuck here sometimes. Yeah, good thing we can just come back up. And as long as you get it first try here, you don't really have many problems, but sometimes you get a collision where you've gone a bit too fast going up to the cannon, and you just won't end up in the cannon. It just won't let you. Okay, why is nothing going well this run? Why is nothing working? Not even that. Seriously? The moment I start trying to do commentated runs? Okay. So I'm going to take the cannon on the upper path there, on the right side one, because that's actually going to launch us into that middle area. So the middle area doesn't actually have any of the line markings on the floor. The line markings do make the ball go at a slower pace. And while that is, of course, slow for the speed run, it does let you time things a lot easier than if there weren't any there, like in any traditional pinball video game. So these lines do make it a lot easier to time when you're launching the ball, and it also means you don't have to make every interaction with the ball frame perfect necessarily. Some of them are tighter timings than normal, but most of the time you'll have at least a few frames to get what you want, really, on each interaction. Hey Tristan, how you doing? Probably not going to be doing too much interacting with chat in a moment, because after this run I'm going to be doing fully commentated runs, because I'm doing PinOut. I'm doing a GDQ submission. But yeah, hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, it's pretty cool. That's why I want to get into GDQ with it, because I think it deserves it. So I'm not going to get the power up there. The power up would actually have offered us. It wouldn't have offered us push, or not guaranteed anyway. And some power ups actually are fixed to two separate power ups that are not push. The only way of getting push is the one in something beneath, or if you get it from a random power-up. But if the power-up orb that you've picked up doesn't actually offer random, then you can't possibly get push. So it's pretty much never worth grabbing those ones in the run. So here we are actually going to go to the right. Very nice. That is pretty much the quickest way of getting through that section, because otherwise you have to sort of catch the ball with the flippers, and that makes it a lot easier to keep hold of the ball and then time your flip. But if you are able to make it on that ramp, then it is a lot quicker, because you don't have to mess about doing that. And catching the ball is very useful when you're starting out. Would definitely recommend doing a lot of catching of the ball, because it just means the ball is going at a slow enough speed to do decent, consistent timings. And this game can be pretty punishing if you don't get good timings with everything. If you're missing ramps all the time, then not only you're going to be getting a slow run, you might not even finish the run because of the in-game timer. So here we're now getting another mechanic. We are getting the red balls, and the red balls do get in the way quite a lot. So we're just going to sort of hang back some of the time just to play safe around them, because they can be a little bit inconsistent, and we don't really want to have to deal with them right now. Most of the time they are fine and they are consistent, but sometimes they just sort of interfere, and once they've interfered once, they're not going to stop interfering. So we have to sort of let them go and do their thing. And we can also interact with them. They will interact with the flippers and everything else in the game exactly the same as our own ball. So you can actually end up sort of carrying a red ball really high up sometimes, which is not what you want. You have a mod or something on PinOut? No, don't have a mod. Yeah, so PinOut has graphics settings, so I have it on the lowest setting, because I find the higher settings cool, but I also find them a little bit distracting. Imagine finishing with a red ball, yeah. Okay, so a little bit unfortunate there. We couldn't really do anything about that. Sometimes you'll just end up falling back into the other area. Bit unfortunate, but there you go. We're coming back into that section now. And I realised I'm one split behind. Whoops. Guess I'm going to have to reset this one. I mean, this isn't going to be submitted, don't worry. The lowest, yeah. Yeah, so the higher settings are just more glowy, really. This is the lowest setting. This is called functional, this setting. If you go in settings, it is literally, there's 3 options. I do like the higher ones, but I just find them a bit distracting for runs, really. So I don't use those ones. So I'm going to take this left ramp. It is a little bit faster. Here we can actually go for the right ramp. Now there is one up there. I do want to finish the run though, please. Yeah, I don't want to be submitting a run that's this close to losing. Come on. No. Oh my goodness. Okay, right. Well, great. Yeah, so 3 lines, and you've got graphics quality, functional, balanced, and extreme. And also functional saves battery, apparently, so... Yeah, that's a good thing, right? Okay, let's get another run going. Alright, so this is PinOut. This is a vertical scrolling endless runner hybrid sort of PinOut, sort of pinball game. The main mechanic of this game that separates it from the rest, or from the other pinball video games out there, is the 3 lines in the floor. So they're gonna, whenever we run into those 3 line markings next to a flipper, it's gonna slow the ball to a much more manageable speed. And that is what we need. Although it sounds like that will be slow, it does slow down the ball technically. It means that we can make much more consistent timings with the flippers, and we can pretty much always get what we want, or where we want the ball to go. It doesn't necessarily mean we need frame perfect timings on every flipper. So here we're just going to wait out the gate there. Going to go straight onto the ramp rather than using the extra flipper there, which is the best thing to do. Getting the minigame, that minigame will give us bonus time, which we do not need. We do need some bonus time so we can finish the run. As you can see at the top, the timer is counting down. And, of course, if that timer runs out, as any endless runner sort of games go, if there's a timer that runs out, that ends the game. And you pretty much end with the score at the bottom. But the way we do it as a speedrun is the game technically does end after 8 areas, and then the game just sort of wraps around again. But we are going to be grabbing some bonus time. Sometimes it is actually on the most optimal path. Like here we are going to be grabbing that bonus time on the right ramp there. Just because that's worth grabbing. It's worth going for that one so we can just get out of this area as soon as possible. Now this one, we are going to go for 2 long ramps, and the long ramps are faster, so we're going for them. But I'm hoping to get a specific power-up, and it's a 1 in 5 chance that we get this. This is the fastest thing we can possibly get in this area. So it's a random power-up, and there are 5 possible other power-ups it can be. We're hoping for push. We get warp, so warp actually isn't too bad because it's going to move us on in the map. We did want push, so basically... push, the mechanic of push, it means you can, instead of using the flippers for the duration of the power-up, you can actually move the ball wherever you want. It will just launch the ball constantly, which is really, really good for a speedrun. It actually means, if you don't do the skip that I'm going to reference in a second, you can just sort of zoom through the area super fast. But if you do get the skip, how the skip works is pretty much, you want to get a specific collision on one of the bumpers. So the bumpers that you're seeing here, pretty much every set of flippers. If you hit one of those bumpers at a certain angle, what will happen is you will just end up launching off of the floor or off of the table. And you'll be able to just control the ball off the table, avoiding all obstacles because obstacles don't actually have any collision in 0.100, which is that orange area we were just in. And you pretty much skip the whole area, and it is a very long area to skip in this run, one of the longest areas in the game. And not just that, it's also one of the least well, definitely one of the highest reset points, because there's just so much that can go wrong, so many ramps that have relatively difficult timings compared to most in the game. So it's really, really good to skip it. It saves about 30 seconds, and in a run like this, you just need to save time like that. So unfortunately we're not getting it in this run, but it's not the end of the world. We can still finish with a pretty good run here. Now we're going through skipping quite a lot of time dots. We still do have over 2 minutes, so we've got plenty of time to finish the run. There's definitely more coming up. Between each checkpoint as well, we also get those that bonus time. But in this one, we're actually not going to get that bonus time. And this is a little bit riskier to go for compared to when you're starting out, I guess. Because what is going to happen is this area actually has the most bonus time out of any area in the game. So nice little save there, otherwise you just sort of end up free falling. This area can just be like that. It's a very, very open area, so you have to sort of get to the power-up as soon as possible, get push, and then get out of here, really, because a lot can go wrong when you've not got push. So the good thing in this area is that we do have push guaranteed. So yeah, what we're going to be skipping at the end here is actually a ton of bonus time dots. So we don't just get 25 time dots here. What we would normally get is we would get an entire bumper section where you sort of have to let the ball jump around and bounce around before it gets out of there. Now we're going to actually completely skip that and go for something called Granular Rainstorm Cannon Skip. Very original name. And we're just going to skip the area. Very, very nice. Unfortunately, we didn't really have much of the power-up left. We can actually carry it through to the next area. We didn't really have too much left to do anything because of my execution at the start of that power-up wasn't too great. But we do end up skipping the main bulk of that skip anyway, which is what I wanted to hit. But what it does mean is we are very low on bonus time compared to where the game wants you to be. The game wants you to collect, well, really, you'd get about an average of 40 to 50 extra seconds in that area. But obviously we're skipping them, so it is a little bit of a problem. It becomes a little bit more of a problem if we also hit the skip in 0.100, but we didn't have a choice there because we didn't get push, unfortunately. Now here we are going to have quite a lot of long ramps just to skip a lot of this area. Now, we're not actually going to take these shorter ones. The shorter ones do have bonus time dots, but really it's just quicker to take these long ramps, and we do have enough time to finish, so it's absolutely fine to do that. Now here, we're going to get another 25 time dots, but the other ramp actually offers 35. It takes a little bit to get there, though, so we're not going to be going for that. Now, didn't actually mean to grab that power-up, but it won't hurt us to get time doubler. I mean, that's going to double all the bonus time we get for these time dots, so that's absolutely fine for a run like this. But what we could have had from that random power-up, if we took that, is we would have had the chance to get push again. And that's actually what the current world record does. It actually manages to get push not only in 0.100, but also in this area. The problem with this area is there's not really as much ground off of the floor to move the ball. If a little bit unfortunate there, normally we're supposed to just go pretty fluidly through that. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, so if you get push here, there's not really as much you can do compared to 0.100. 0.100 has a ton of stuff off the floor, basically for the entire area that you can just skip. But here, there's not really as much you can do with push. Gonna get stuck a little bit here. This is a little bit of a gauntlet at the end of the run, so if we fall off the map here, we're actually gonna get put back at a respawn point that's about 3 flipper sections back. So it can be pretty punishing if you get stuck there. Really, really harsh part of the run, especially being in area 7. Very, very difficult to deal with. Now here we're just gonna have these 2 gates, and that's the only time those gates appear in the run. But we're going to collect these time dots. A little bit slower to do that, but we do want to go for these specific cannons as well, just to get launched up, miss that power up as well. Just what I prefer to do, really, because if you don't get push, the power up takes about 7 seconds to get, so we don't want to be wasting our time doing that. Now here, if you're on the left flipper, you can actually go for that little shortcut ramp there rather than going around the loop. But the good thing with the loop is there is bonus time dots there. Another part where you can sort of get stuck here, lots of red gates going on, sort of using the gate to, at our own advantage really, to get through there. And that is the run. It is incredibly short run. But I would really recommend it to get into. It's free on mobile, and there are pretty much all you need to do really, and you don't even have to do it. You can pay for premium, and that will let you start from any checkpoint. So you can start from the second area, the third area, or even you can start from overtime, which is basically the game, as I mentioned earlier, wrapping round again. So yeah, there's a lot that's to come in this game. This game's had a lot of a lot of stuff going on in the last year. We've only found those 2 skips I mentioned in the past year, so it's got so much going for it, and it will be great to see the game boost in popularity, really, because there's a lot that can happen with it. So I hope you've enjoyed, and yeah, that is my run. Thank you for watching. Okay, I think that was alright. Yeah, push has a lot of potential. Push is integral to the 2 big skips in this game. Absolutely integral. That I'm gonna make a lot of emphasis if it does get into GDQ on push, because push is really what makes this game be such a good speed game, because there's not really a limit to how much you can do with push. Like, there will be a point where if you were to, excluding Granular Rainstorm, if you were to get push in just Granular Rainstorm and nowhere else, there would be a hard limit to where this run could end. Or where this run could end up, really, if you got every area perfect. But with push, it adds so much possible time save. And not just possible, but it's never consistent. So sometimes you'll just get 30 seconds, really. Sometimes you get a lot more. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, and I'm not surprised that the 2 big skips so far, Granular Rainstorm and 0.100, they do use push, because it's just, it adds so much more to the game. Like, you can't really, the game's pretty rock solid without push. Like, all the glitches and stuff that happen in this game happen pretty much just because of push. So it is very interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if there will be another major skip found with push eventually, because I know there is a soft lock that we know of. Not a consistent soft lock, but we have managed to do it several times, and other people have as well. Oh yeah, sub 7 is absolutely possible, and I am going for sub 7. Sub 7, I mean, now I've got a sum of best of 632, you know. All I need to do is get a decent run with the 0.100 skip, and I could actually get sub 7 just with that. The problem is, right now, I also need, I need to get a decent rest of the game, and decent rest of the game is not easy. Sub 6, not as feasible. It probably is possible, but I mean, my sum of best right now is, what is it, 632? I can't save 32 more seconds in 0.100. I can't. I can't save that much time. It can probably get down to about 610x or 61x or something like that. It can't get to sub 6 right now, but I have a lot of faith that there is definitely at least one more major skip in this game. There has to be. And if there is, then it can absolutely sub 6. If it's anything like 0.100 skip, this is sub 6 territory, if that gets hit. I mean, right now we're looking at world record being 712, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. But sub 6, yeah, another major skip, absolutely possible. Hey Wiz, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm sort of doing my chat interactions before I get into another run, because I'm doing GDQ submissions and I'm not looking at chat during that. Hypersphere, yeah, I don't know. I'm quite interested to see, because Hypersphere, as I mentioned in that run, Hypersphere has had push, or Sasha B managed to get push as the random power-up in Hypersphere, but didn't really manage to get much with it, mainly because there's not much solid ground off the floor. Like, there's so many parts of Hypersphere that are empty, so you just sort of fall off the map and then end up respawning. So there's not really, you can't do the conventional 0.100 skip, but it still does make you technically faster. It saves a few seconds, but you also have to remember the 7 seconds you lose for grabbing the power-up. So it's not that worth going for right now. If there was a major skip found, it might be, but it's the fact that you would need to get 2 random pushes in one run, which is a 4% chance. And it's already bad enough grinding the 20% chance that resets at 0 Dark 100 if you don't get it. So there's a lot. Yo, we love RNG. I know. I really can't escape like Clubhouse games, random stupid RNG. Can I? Mario Party 8. I just can't. This is PinOut. Who expected there to be RNG in this game? I mean, to be fair, there is random. Like, it says random in there. It's in the name, random number generation. But yeah, that's the point this runs at now. If you want to go for a world record attempt, you have to get push in 0 Dark 100, which is a 20% chance. You don't really need to get push in Hypersphere right now because, oh sorry, no, Telegraphic Distortion is the one I was talking about. But yeah, Hypersphere, definitely. There's a decent amount of solid ground in Hypersphere. Not as much in Telegraphic Distortion, but yeah, I reckon there could be a skip in either of them. Yeah, so it's, yeah, there's definitely a lot going on with this game, and I hope it can get in because it really deserves the spotlight, really. And there's been a decent amount of runners of this before compared to most mobile games, but not really as much any percent because it's not that possible to just download the game and do one run as a no reset unless you're really naturally good, because the game will just punish you for any small mistake and you'll just end up draining your timer, not finishing the run. So it's quite hard to get into, but once you get in with this game, you'll have a really, really good time. And as long as you're not grinding out tons of runs in 0 Dark 100, yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm trying to perfect my my commentary as I go, because I need to get at least one good run that I can submit to GDQ today. I'm relatively happy with the last one, but you know, I've done 2 speedrun marathons before, 2, so submitting for GDQ is a pretty big jump. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see how it goes, really. I mean, submissions are only open till next Wednesday, so I do need to hurry up and do the submissions like now, today. That's why I'm doing this. But yeah, we're gonna do another run. Okay, so this is PinOut. This is a vertical scrolling endless pinball game. Now, pretty unusual, because it's not like your traditional pinball game. You have line markings in the floor, these 3 lines next to most pinball flippers. These are actually going to slow the ball down to a relatively consistent speed. So that sounds bad for a speedrun, but it is actually a good thing, because it's going to make it a lot easier for us to get consistent timings for each ramp. Now, no, I've went blank. I'm going to restart. I still love this emote. Nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm actually going to get a... I would like to have more emotes that are just actually decent. But, you know, SMIDI Banger is there, and SMIDI Banger is still the best. I've been playing Splatoon 3, right? Spoilers for Splatoon 3. So if you care about Splatoon 3 spoilers, then look... take your ears away for 30 seconds, but I played the story mode over the weekend as a method to procrastinate. I was playing it on Saturday on stream, but I just wanted to play the rest of it offline because I couldn't wait till this Saturday. I didn't want to wait that long, so I wanted to play it offline. But I'm gonna speedrun it. I'm definitely gonna speedrun it. But the final boss is the bear. Mr. Grizz is the bear in the game. And yeah, I've seen people compare him to the IKEA bear. I will not pronounce it now because I will probably completely mess it up. Actually, no, it's like the Djungelskog or something. But yeah, I'm gonna have an emote of that because I think that'll be really funny. Just have like a bad like PNG spinning Djungelskog emote. That'll be really funny. But I am gonna speedrun Splatoon 3 because the story mode's so cool, and there's so many skips in any percent. Like, the way the world map works is like they made it for skips. Like, Splatoon 1, there was the World 4 skip. Splatoon 2, there was nothing, because they changed it. They changed how it worked. And in Splatoon 3, they've suddenly changed it back again. Like, they've actually made it skip-friendly again. And this is within, like, a few days people have found these skips, because the way it works is just obvious. Like, it only... The barriers only stop you from moving a tiny amount of the map, so just by jumping on some rails and stuff, you sort of just skip it all. Hey Maya, how you doing? Good to see you. We're doing GDQ submissions, so I am not looking at chat too much. That's why I'm doing a ton of chat interaction and then no chat interaction. But yeah, I hope you're well. It's good to see you. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna get into another run. Okay, so this is PinOut. This is a vertical scrolling pinball game. It's a endless runner, technically, but it's pretty unusual because it has these line markings in the floor, and what they do is it basically slows the ball down to a consistent speed. And while slowing, I know that doesn't sound great for a speedrun, it does make it so that we can pretty much time every flipper or every flip of a flipper to be what we want. And it will, rather than most pinball video games where you need to be almost frame perfect most of the time. But here, of course, because the ball is slowing down to a decent, manageable speed, we're actually able to not even need to catch the ball most of the time and just sort of move. And move fluidly as well. The movement is pretty cool. There we actually managed to skip using the extra flipper just before that minigame. And the minigame, what it does is it is pretty much a chance for you to earn bonus time. That pretty much there's bonus time. A lot of the bonus time you'll get is through the time dots on the floor. And all it will do is it will extend the amount of time or increase the amount of time on your timer. Here we're not actually too concerned about it, as long as it doesn't get to 0 over the course of the run, otherwise that's a game over, and we technically can't do a no reset, which would be pretty bad. But good thing is, that's not very likely to happen because most of these ramps, in fact a lot of these ramps we're taking that are the most optimal runs in terms of our RTA speed are actually, I do actually have bonus time dots on anyway, so that's absolutely fine. Now here is a pretty pivotal area for the speed of the run. We're going to go for a 1 in 5 chance here of getting a random power-up, and it should be push. So if we get push, which we do, and if I hit that bumper at a certain collision point, what we can do is we can pretty much just mash left and right, and this is pretty much what push is. We don't actually have to use flippers to get out of an area. Seriously? Really? Seriously? Really? Seriously? Really? Come on, I just wanted one. I just wanted one run today with push to commentate. Damn, yeah, I'm just gonna play Brawl Stars, actually. Have I even updated my game? Probably not. It's been months. I do not play this game actively. I used to stream it a bit. How many trophies do I have? No, I've definitely not updated this. I'll be very surprised. Damn, I have actually updated it. Okay. Can you even see this? You can, actually, but the cropping's messed up, so you can't really see much. Damn. Yeah, I got 18,443. That's how many trophies I got. I'm just on here now collecting my rewards. That's just what I'm doing. Anyway, I should get back to runs. Oh yeah, but to be fair, the trophy count is pretty, like, it doesn't really matter too much. Like, all you need to do is unlock every brawler and get to 500 trophies, and then it just sort of sits there. And getting to at least 300 is pretty much free. Like, you lose hardly any at that level. So, you haven't played it in years? Damn, mate. I can't believe Brawl Stars, like, Brawl Stars has been out for that long now where you can actually say you haven't played it in years. Like, that's how old it is. And it doesn't even seem like it's that old to me, but clearly it is. Have fun with your run. Hope it gets accepted. Thank you so much, Maya. I really hope so. This leaderboard literally has 10 runners of any percent. So I don't know. I'm holding out hope for it. And this is my first GDQ submission, so I'm really, really hoping it goes well. But if it doesn't, that's absolutely fine. To be honest, I'm not expecting a lot because it is just PinOut. You know, I'm just submitting PinOut, and I would like this game to get in more than any other game I would submit, but it's going to be hard, obviously. There's so many people that deserve to get into GDQ. So I'm just sort of shooting my shot while they're doing another online event, really. 10. Alright. Let's do another run. Okay, this is PinOut. It's a vertical scrolling, sort of endless runner-esque, as much as I don't really want to call it that. It technically is. It's a pinball game. So what we have here is, it's very short. The game is very short, and while it is an endless runner, the game does technically stop at a point, and that point is overtime, and that's why this run's called Race to Overtime, even though it's technically any percent. I don't know why it's called that, it's just called that. So, what we are doing here, and the main mechanic of this game is the 3 lines on the floor next to most flippers. Now, these line markings will actually slow down the ball to a consistent, manageable speed. And this is... Oh my goodness, WizKid, you've actually put me off. I mean, that was a terrible run, but I need to close my chat during these runs. Like, I can't. I actually can't. Alright, I need to like go off the chat window during these. I can't. No. No, my top 10. Oh, my 10! Exclamation mark top. Oh yeah, top's on the cooldown of 10 minutes now, so you can't do it as often because I feel like a lot of people feel called out by the leaderboard a lot. So by reducing the amount of times you can do it, it stops it from being brought up as much. Okay. What I might do is I might actually make this 720p for this run. Okay, never mind, it is 720p. 1080p. Let me reload it then. My whole 10 credits are gone, I can't believe it. I mean, I saved you thousands there. Clearly. BRB dinner, no worries. Thanks for being here, Wiz. Appreciate it. Also, hey Brass, how's it going? Okay, this is probably gonna make my laptop scream. I'm using 1080p air server. This hates it when I do 1080p air server. So I'm hoping it will hold up for this run because it's not normally what I use. I normally use 480p, and if it gets unstable at any point, let me know and I will turn it back to normal so I can actually record relatively stable GDQ submissions. Alright, anyway. Runtime. Okay, so this is PinOut. This is a vertical scrolling, endless runner pinball game. Actually, you know what? I should do an introduction before I do the run. I should definitely do that. This is PinOut. PinOut is cool. Accept me, please. Exactly. That's what I should say. Okay, hello there. This is PinOut. This is a vertical scrolling pinball game. It is technically a endless runner, but what we're going to see is a lot of mechanics that are specific to this game. It makes it really unique, especially for a mobile game. It's free to download as well. And all there is premium, which means you can start from any checkpoint, but for this run, any percent, we are going to be starting from the beginning. Technically, there is also an end to the game, and that is where the run ends, which is overtime. So let's just get into the run and show it off. So, as you can see, the line markings in the floor are the main mechanic of the game. So the line markings are actually going to slow the ball down, especially when the ball's going fast, going at them, to a much more manageable, consistent speed. And while that does sound like it's slowing down the ball, and that's not good for a speedrun, of course it's not good, it does actually mean we can have pretty much every flipper is much easier to time than in most video game variations of pinball, because pinball a lot of the time in video games you have to be almost frame perfect to get what you want. Here we don't need to be anything near frame perfect a lot of the time. Sometimes you'll get some collisions that you're not used to, but at the same time, you'll really just get what you want most of the time with these flippers. Now, what you actually saw there is a mini game, and those mini games are for collecting more bonus time. That's the other big feature of this game, is the bonus time at the top of the screen. The in-game timer is how they enforce the endless runner mechanic. So the game will end when that time runs out, and for your first lap of the game, you can collect bonus time through mini games and stuff like that. But here we're not actually going to play the mini game because it's pretty slow, and we don't want to be doing that because that's not worth doing in our RTA speedrun. So what we are doing though is a lot of these ramps we are going through here are actually the optimal ones, but they also have bonus time dots on so that we don't run out of time for the entire run. So we're just going to finish up here and be done with Emerald Electric. Having a little bit of trouble here, but it's absolutely fine. We are going to end up on that ramp and skipping that extra section there. And that finishes this area. Now, Area 3, 0.100, the orange area here, this is a pivotal moment for the run. Now, we're going to collect a power-up in a second, and while it costs us 7 seconds to collect it for the animation, we are actually going to be hoping to get push, and push gives you massive control over the ball. It actually ignores the flippers for a certain amount of time. So we are hoping to get push. We're not going to get that, unfortunately, but we are going to get something that's pretty good for a marathon safe run. It's time doubler, so every time dot we get is going to give us 2 seconds instead of 1. So that should make us pretty safe for the rest of the run now. Now, because I didn't get push, unfortunately we're not going to be able to perform, at least in the run, what is normally performed, which is the out of bounds skip in this area. So what you can normally do, if you get push, you can actually hit one of the bumpers next to these sets of flippers. If you hit the bumper at a certain point, what will happen is you'll actually end up off the floor, off the table, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really sure whether it's a table or a floor in this game, to be fair. But you actually end up off of the floor, and the obstacles on the side on this in this area actually have no collision. So what we can do is pretty much just mash left and right and then just sort of zoom our way through 0.100, completely ignoring all of the floor. It skips about 30 seconds, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but in a run as short as this, it is absolutely crucial, especially if you're going for a top run or a world record. So, unfortunately, because we didn't get that, we are just playing this area as normal. But we are introducing a new mechanic. It is the cannons you're seeing here. So the cannons always have 2 paths, and there is pretty much always an optimal one to take, whether it's just that it offers more time dots, or if it just skips an area. So by doing this left one here, we are actually going to skip that other flipper. And here we're going to get this left one. We are going to take the right ramp because that means we can, the right path, because it means we can just go straight through rather than having to deal with the other area. We got through something beneath pretty quick here. And all the areas do actually have names technically, but they're mainly given their names due to the OST. The names are all given to the different music, the different tracks, music tracks you find in every area. So we are actually going to get that little skip there. Sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. It actually skips quite a lot of flippers here. But as I mentioned earlier, push is pretty important. Here we actually are guaranteed to get push, which is a good thing. Do love it when there's no RNG in this section of the speedrun. But what we're also going to get is we are going to get something called Granular Rainstorm Cannon Skip. And that is going to skip quite a lot of time dots, so it is quite risky. I ended up off the table, so I'm just going to respawn and carry on with the run. That is totally fine. Not normally going to be able to get off the table in this area, but there's not really much you can do off the table, especially there because I just fell straight off. So just decided to take the respawn and carry on with the run. Unfortunately, that does mean we didn't carry on using push, because what that skip often enables is you carry push to the next area. So it actually means we can continue using push throughout this area and skip several ramps, which is really, really fast. And then these last few ramps here are actually just really, really long ones. So there are actually 4 of these. And it pretty much leads us to the end of the area. And you can probably see the counter at the bottom showing our distance. It goes up super quick in this area. Just from those 4 ramps, it makes up a massive distance, massive coverage. So here we're actually getting a new mechanic. It is these Red Bull spawners or gates or whatever. So what they do, they're pretty much inconsequential apart from they interact with the flippers and everything else exactly the same as we would. I'm not sure if you can actually launch them with the cannons, but they do interfere and especially collide with the ball. And when they collide with the ball, it can massively interfere with your timings, really, when you're coming up to flippers. So we really just want to be avoiding the red balls as much as possible. And if it is at all possible on each cycle, just completely avoid having to deal with them at all, really. Sometimes you'll actually end up carrying a red ball all the way through the game, which is quite funny, but we're hoping that doesn't happen. So here we are going to get onto the right side. That is much more ideal to deal with this section. Unfortunately, getting a weird collision there, sometimes that happens where you just end up hitting that rather than going fluidly straight through, as we're hopefully going to see here. Yep, just like that. And once the ball hits that flipper, we can just do a quick flip rather than needing to catch it at all. It does look like it shouldn't work, but it does. And it's really, really good that that exists, because that would be quite a hard ramp to actually deal with there. Not only that, but you would actually end up into the power-up, which wouldn't be ideal, because if you don't get pushed from it, then it's definitely not worth grabbing, because it costs 7 seconds to take each one. Now, coming up to the last area here, and timing does actually end on the hit of the final cannon, we're going to see a new mechanic, and we're going to say goodbye to a new mechanic, because it's the only time we're going to see it in the entire run. Those switches, and once you hit both switches, you can actually advance to the next area. So we're actually just going to go upwards on every single cannon hit here. Not going to get it on that one. Just mistiming it a little bit there, unfortunately. But you just want to go upwards on each one, because it means it's generally quicker, and you're also avoiding things like the power-ups, which you don't really want to be getting most of the time. Now, you can technically get push from these the power-ups in this area, or some of them, but they are only given by the random power-up, and so it's not really worth taking. So we're going to have a little sequence of bumpers here, and that is time. So there you go. That is PinOut. Little bit, not sure what went on with the splits there, but that is it. It's really, really short. Actually, yes, I know what happened. So I don't actually split in Granular Rainstorm a lot of the time if I make that skip. That skip going between the flippers is pretty intense, so I just sort of don't really get an opportunity to split there. But that is PinOut. It's really, really nice to get into. There are shorter runs to get into first. So there are score runs on the leaderboard where you just sort of submit your highest score. There's also stage 1 IL speedruns, so that's definitely achievable to do. But doing any percent is not... it is difficult at first, but once you get into any percent and you're able to do no resets without losing your bonus time, or without gaming over by running out of time, it's really, really fun. It's super fun to get into. It's super welcoming, and really, really would love to help out anyone who is looking to get into the game and find out about new strats and things. But the game's pretty intuitive. You just sort of play it as normal but fast, and that is it. So hoping that you enjoyed, and yeah, thanks for watching. Why not Race to Overtime 2? Wait, why not submit Race to Overtime 2, do you mean? So, this is something I thought about for a little bit. Because I do think Race to Overtime 2 would be interesting. I am not as confident that it's marathon safe. It's pretty much marathon safe. I reckon I could put in a 30 to 35 minute estimate for that, and that would be absolutely fine. The problem with PinOut is we do have the chance that the game crashes doing a skip of some sort, and even when you're not doing a skip, sometimes you can just get push, launch yourself into a wall or an obstacle, and the game will just say no, and it will turn pink and purple, and you won't be able to do anything until the time is run out. Basically, you're soft locked. So I don't want that to happen in a run. The thing is, with any percent, I can just carry on from a checkpoint, and it's not too bad. Race to Overtime, I can't really do that, because you can only start from the start of overtime. So it's not really possible for me to do that. You know what? I'm actually going to save the splits, because that telegraphic distortion was pretty good. Actually, no, never mind. That's a fake gold, because that was the hypersphere split. Never mind, ignore me. Yeah, so I would like to submit Race to Overtime 2. I feel like Race to Overtime makes more sense. Also, the fact that at any big speedrun marathon, you're looking for a game that... I mean, I don't speak for the games committees, but they're a lot of the time they're going to look for games that have a lot of original stuff. Like, there's not as much repetition in them as such. Like, you're going to give an exception to games like RPGs and stuff like that are long and stuff like that. That's just the nature of runs like that. But with a game like this, if I'm submitting Race to Overtime 2, you have to remember that the first 10 to 15 minutes of the run are me doing the game at the start. I mean, I'm doing different stuff to any percent, technically. I'm collecting bonus time dots and much more than usual, and doing mini games as well, so that I have enough bonus time going into overtime. But when I get to overtime, I am then doing the exact same game again. And although that's different on the second lap, because I'm just speeding through it rather than collecting time dots, and that's really the only reason I can think to submit Race to Overtime 2. I just don't think it's interesting enough to watch the second lap, really. It's just too long. Like, Race to Overtime 2 is comparable in length to Catbird, and Catbird is interesting, and Catbird has different levels. On every single level is different. That was an all levels speedrun. That was the first mobile game that got into GDQ, was Catbird. And I don't think there's been one since, so this would be the second if it got in. But I should also mention, Race to Overtime 2 is my own invention. That's not a real category. But yeah, it is what I made up, basically. But because it's not actually on the leaderboard, I'm going to hold off for submitting Race to Overtime 2. If Race to Overtime doesn't get into GDQ this time, and they, for some reason, do another offline event, or even if they do a hybrid of offline and in-person, and I just submit online again, I would consider submitting Race to Overtime 2. But I would really like it to be on the leaderboard before I even think about doing that. Because while it is an intuitive run, in my opinion, it isn't on the leaderboard because there just aren't really enough runs of it right now. And also the mods aren't really that active. They are active, the mods are active. Otterstone is one of the most active speedrunners in speedrunning. But Otterstone also moderates for hundreds of leaderboards and doesn't necessarily have a lot of time for one leaderboard, you know? So it's completely understandable, but yeah, and also there's no PinOut Discord. Like, that was the running joke that my Discord, channel 734, was technically the PinOut Discord for months, because all I would do in Media General was talk about PinOut. And this was about half a year ago now, before I got into, or half a year to a year ago, actually. Closer to a year ago. Actually, no, it must be about a year ago, or maybe even more, because it was around the time I was doing Granular Rainstorm Cannon Skip, which was Christmas Day last year. So, yeah, there is technically no PinOut Discord. There is the mobile speedrunning Discord, but that's it. And even the mobile speedrunning Discord, I haven't checked recently, I haven't checked in the last few weeks, but I actually joined there while I was on holiday, and they have a massive list of mobile games that are on speedrun.com. PinOut is not on there. So there is really, really not that much in PinOut in the mobile speedrun Discord. And I actually did a Discord search for the word PinOut in the Discord, and there was literally like 2 messages by people before I joined the Discord. So I mentioned PinOut. I don't think it's on the sheet still, but I don't know, I might be wrong. Really, I think the sheet is just to give just for a general list of mobile games. It doesn't have to be a definitive, you know, extensive list. But yeah, the fact that it's not on there just shows how little documentation there is really outside of our own community for this game. But I would love for this game to get in still, because it's really cool. SMidi fans when he's in the GDQ, I know. If I got into GDQ, I really hope people would be able to enjoy that. And I definitely would enjoy that, but I hope people would be able to enjoy that as well, because for years I've just sort of kept myself to myself with speedrunning, and while that's cool, I'd love to do another marathon again. My last marathon was 2018, so and my first one, I might even have been, yeah, both of them were 2018, because one of them was when Mario Odyssey was out for about a year, and the only skip I managed to do was like Moon Skip. That was the only skip I knew. And, well, there weren't that many strats in 2018. There were a lot more than I was using. Oh, so welcome back, Wiz. Welcome back. Yo, Wiz submitting Geometry Dash speedrun to GDQ. No. I mean, Geometry Dash is on speedrun.com. I have checked. But yeah, I don't know how that'd work. Seems to be less delay on 1080p. I don't know, might just be me. Alright, let's just do another run. I want to do at least 1 or 2 more. Okay, so this is PinOut. This is a vertical scrolling, technically endless runner pinball game. There's a lot of interesting mechanics that separate this from other pinball games, especially as a mobile game. I personally think it's really cool, and there's a lot to show off in this game in not much time, so I'm just going to get into it and hope it goes well. So the main mechanic you see here is the 3 lines in the floor. The 3 lines in the floor are gonna pretty much slow the ball when it's going fast to a more manageable, consistent, or relatively consistent speed. And while that does mean technically we're slowing the ball, and that's slow for a speedrun, of course that's not good RTA, but it is a good thing because compared to most pinball games where you would need to be, you know, you associate pinball games with needing to be almost frame perfect most of the time. We don't actually need to be frame perfect. We want to have decent timings in this game, but having decent timings on each flipper is actually a lot easier than most pinball games because of the ball slowing down. You only get a certain few interactions on each flipper, really. So taking my time in that area just to collect a lot more time dots just to be safe, because each dot will increase the in-game timer that you see here by 1 second. And while a lot of the paths we're taking here, some of them will force us to get time dots, like that one. Some of them we're taking are just the most optimal ones, and they just don't have time dots. So we're not going to be taking a lot of them unless I need to, unless the timer gets low. Because we are going to generally get through the run quick enough just to not really be too concerned about the timer. Now, what I did just get through was a mini game, and the mini games are another way of getting time added onto the timer. But they are slow. We don't want to be doing them. They do pause the timer while you're playing the mini game, but they do not pause the RTA timer, of course. So we're just going to be skipping them in this run. But when you're starting out, they are definitely worth taking, especially Laser Racer. Laser Racer is the quickest minigame in terms of how much time you get in the amount of time it takes to play the game. It's a very, very quick one. So if you are starting out, and the minigame does appear 3 times possibly in the run, so it's definitely worth doing. Now here is the most pivotal possibly point in the run. Now we're going to go for a 20% chance of getting a power up here that is called push. Unfortunately we're not going to get it here. We're going to get time double up, but that is actually pretty good for a marathon, because it means we're going to get 2 seconds instead of 1 for a little bit from these time dots. So that means we're going to have even more safety on the timer. Isn't that a great thing? Now missing that long ramp unfortunately, so we are just going to go through the middle here. More time dots, amazing. But what I would have got with the push power up is it stops you using the flippers, and instead what you get to do, wow, I managed to skip the minigame, that doesn't happen often. Yeah, instead of using the flippers, while the power up is active, you actually get to control the ball and launch it in whatever direction you are aiming in at the time. So by mashing left and right, pretty much what will happen is you can actually hit a bumper next to one of these flippers at a certain time, and if you get a certain collision you can actually end up off of the table or the floor, whatever it is canonically, I don't know. If you end up off of the table in 0.100, you can actually go through the entire area and skip the entire area. It saves about 30 seconds, so it's pretty much necessary in a PB attempt, a world record attempt. But here, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get it, and I'm not going to reset to get it. That would take a little while, it being a 20% chance. Or it could take a little while. But coming into this area, we are going to introduce these cannons. Now, these cannons have 2 different paths, left or right, usually. And normally, we're going to be going for the ones that either have the most time dots or the ones that skip the most stuff. So here, I'm actually going to go for the right ramp, because that means we just get straight into this middle cage bit. And that is one of the only areas where you don't have line markings in the floor. The line markings would be very useful there, but they're not there for whatever reason. And it does make it quite hard to deal with that section a lot of the time. Sometimes you'll collide with the flippers and sort of get quite out of control. And it sort of showcases just how much these line markings matter in this game. Now, the good thing is, we are going to see push at least once. That was very strange. Managed to hit the bumper and go downwards. That has never happened before. Never mind, we're going to carry on. Push in this area is actually guaranteed, and it's the only power-up in the game that guarantees that you get push or a random power-up, and it's your choice. But here we are of course going to take push, because push is the most broken power-up, especially for saving time. So we're going to take it, and we're going to do what is called granular rainstorm cannon skip. So by taking the inside of the flippers here, instead of taking the cannon, what we can do is we can just go straight through these flippers and skip the area. But what this also does is it means we can keep push for a little tiny few seconds going into the next area, which is really, really good. Managing to execute the skip pretty much first try there. A lot of the time you can get stuck on those flippers and the game can actually crash. But the good thing is, if the game does crash, we can technically restart from a checkpoint, because I've got premium. It means we can just go from the checkpoint. That's absolutely fine, and it doesn't have any consequence on the run. You just sort of would be able to continue from this area, and it would mean we lose a few seconds, but it wouldn't mean we would go anywhere near overestimate, really. So as long as we are not getting a game over, which looking like 160 seconds, we're pretty safe. But yeah, we're not likely to get that, because especially because at the start I managed to take a lot of time dots rather than doing the optimal path at the start. So yeah, the problem with the granular rainstorm cannon skip is it does skip a lot of time dots. Right now we would have a lot more if we took that. Now there I could technically get push, but I'm just going to go for safety and go for the time doubler. I don't actually normally get that power up just because it's a little bit slow. Another 7 seconds RTA wasted by going for it. But that was just how it worked out and how I went for the flipper there. So another new mechanic is these red balls. And the red balls, you can actually collide with these, and they can be very, very irritating. They can actually make you fall really far back and just throws you off your timings quite a lot. So we're going to try and avoid them here wherever possible. So good thing is we're not really having too much to do with them. But yeah, the gates there, a little bit frustrating sometimes. But what we need to do here, and as we're going to see, we're going to respawn there. That is the respawn point for this section. If we fall off, even in these upcoming parts, we are going to respawn at that same respawn point. And that is why this is such a choke point of the run. You can fall back so many times. You can fall off the map so many times there. And it's really, really hard to deal with. But good thing is we're getting through there relatively quickly. Really harsh red ball placement there, I would say. That gate spawns in that red ball as soon as you get near the flipper there. If you get really unlucky, you can actually end up falling back to the previous area, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. Good thing is that doesn't waste too much time. It wastes about 15 to 20 seconds, because the problem with falling back between areas is it's a massive line, or a massive tunnel between falling back between areas. But you can easily just go on the ramps you've already used. So this is the final area, and the timing is going to end on the final cannon. There are a set of 3 cannons coming up, or a few cannons coming up at the end. We're going to use a few of them, and on the final one, that is our split. So this run does go super quickly. Here we are actually going to go for the left side. No, unfortunately don't get it there. But if you go on the left ramp there, it is a little bit quicker than going around that loop. And only by a few seconds, but it would be nice to hear that. Unfortunately, we don't get it there. Final mini game that we are hopefully going to avoid. Now it's a little bit harder because we respawn on the right flipper there. And that is time. So pretty good run, actually, I would say. Quite a lot of bonus time left at the end, but that's just because we got so much time doubler. And we played it safe quite a lot. We played it safe at the start of the run as well. But that is pretty much it. It's a really, really fun run. I would say definitely really welcoming community for you to get into. There are a couple of skips that you could learn once you start getting comfortable with being able to do no resets and not having the timer making you get a game over. If you get game overs from the timer quite a lot, then it's probably good to maybe take a few mini games, play Laser Racer a few times, and build up your your bonus time in the run, because it means you can do a lot more no resets when you're starting out. But when you start to get better at this game, and once you start to get consistent at that, it is super fun. So I really hope people can get involved with this game, because it's there's just so much going on with it. And here we see overtime. This is technically where the run ends, hence why it's called Race to Overtime. But what you can actually do is you can carry on, and there are also score runs on the leaderboard, so you could technically do that as well. But that is pretty much it for any percent. Yeah, I could technically show off the Zero Dark 100 skip if there was enough time left under estimate. I could actually go back into this checkpoint. It would only take about 20 seconds to get a power-up each time. So if I did manage to get the push power-up, it would at least showcase it. Of course, it being a 20% chance is not ideal, and currently there are no RNG manip strats, so it's a little bit difficult. We are going to get pushed, though. Very nice. I do actually miss the bumper first time. That's unfortunate. But if I hit that one there, what we can do is, if I get back on the map, back on the screen, if I mash left and right, what we do is these obstacles in this area for some reason just have no collision. And if I just end up, doing pretty much the same thing as Granular Rainstorm, we can do a similar skip, but it's a lot more consequential in that area because you skip so much time. And that pretty much shows off all there is to this run. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and yeah, I will see you next time. Okay, I'm really happy with that. That showcased everything. I am so happy. That is definitely going to the GDQ submission. That's 100% going. I'm so happy with that. I'm so happy I grinded that out. It took a while. I knew it was going to take a while. The first runs of this stream have been absolutely terrible. Like, I've not been able to focus at all. But yeah, now I'm really happy I managed to get that. I think that's the best shot I've got of getting this game in. I didn't say too much which was my problem at the start. But the problem with this game is that there's almost no time to read donations. Like, it's non-stop. 8 minutes of non-stop gaming. Thanks for the nice job, please. I really appreciate it. I just really hope I can get into GDQ, because, like, I've speedrun for so long now. I've only done 2 marathons. Like, it would be so cool to get into a big marathon, not just for me, but to showcase this run and give everyone something to look forward to, you know? Now, I'm thinking about submitting We Play, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that, because Artemis is already in pace in November. It's in about 7 weeks' time she's running it. I'm really looking forward to that run. She currently... I mean, she's not been doing too many runs of it recently, at least streaming any, I don't think. But she has been part of the We Play community for a while now, so I know she'll do a good job of that. But I don't know whether she's submitting it to GDQ. Of course, GDQ would be massive if We Play got in, because We Play has never been at a GDQ. Of course, mobile games have only been there once. Catbird has literally been the only mobile game to get into a GDQ, and I don't think they've ever had another one since. So whether this game gets in or not, I don't know. I'm just gonna pray. I don't know when I find out, or when the games are announced, but if it gets in, I will just be super happy. And the good thing about submitting this game is my availability isn't amazing, but I only need a spare 20 minutes, you know? I just need to boot up my laptop, grind out a game of PinOut, you know, do some decent commentary for the marathon, and that's it. Like, that's a lot easier than runs that are, you know, an hour or even pushing an hour. Other games I've submitted to really, really long-a-thon are like 3 or 4 hours long, where I'm basically only able to play them either on a Saturday or my Christmas to New Year period where I'm not at work. So it's kind of difficult. But with a game like this, because it's so short, I don't have that problem. So, yeah. I think, though, I am unfortunately going to head off. It's been a little bit of a short Wednesday stream, but I am going to be back, not Friday, because I am out on Friday. I'm going to hopefully be back Saturday. And what have I planned for Saturday? That's a good question. I don't actually know the answer yet, because I planned it Sunday, last Sunday, and I don't remember what I put. I know I put on there Splatoon 3, but I don't think I'm going to do Splatoon 3. Let's have a look. We play gold medal speedruns if I submit it. If I don't submit it, we're doing 3D World. We're doing 3D World again for the first time in a very long time. I have just had the urge to get back to 3D Mario. I was unwell, really super unwell, the worst cold I've had in memory last week, and I just watched 3D Mario. And while I didn't watch any 3D World, it makes me think of 3D World. And I don't know how it's going to go. I'm going to relearn a route, because obviously Switch version is different to Wii U. Wii U, of course, had the goated World 8 out of bounds glitch, and we don't have that in Switch version, but Switch version is also quicker, so it's a lot nicer to run, I would say. I'd much prefer running Switch now. Like, it's so much faster, and not even just the loads, but the characters are faster as well. So yeah, I want to get back to 3D World. I want to just get at least a decent run, because I feel like that's always going to be my best 3D Mario game. I'm no good at Odyssey. I don't have any intent to learn much more with Odyssey. I want to get a decent any percent time maybe, and I want to do damageless, and that's it really. I don't really have that desire for Odyssey. But 3D World I love, and I know people enjoy 3D World, because even when I was streaming a lot of mobile games, you know, my one sort of side thing would be speedrunning 3D World, so it brings me back to that sort of time. So I do enjoy running it every so often, and maybe I'll make it a regular thing. It's just the fact that it's 2 hours is a little bit hard to do sometimes, but the good thing with it being 2 hours is I can do it on most Wednesdays. So if I relearn it and it goes relatively well, it might become a occasional Wednesday thing. Gotta go now, take care. No worries, Wiz. I'm already doing my extra uber long ending thing, but yeah, thanks for stopping by today. Really appreciate the support, and the distraction on the run that is not going to be submitted, because that one didn't matter now, and the one I just did does matter. So yeah, thanks for watching though, really appreciate it. Also, shout out to Wiz. Wiz was streaming yesterday. Unfortunately, I was doing a ton of homework, so I wasn't able to watch. I keep doing slash. It's exclamation mark. Yeah, check out Wiz. Wiz does Geometry Dash and Mario Maker sometimes, and he's really cool, so go and check him out. But we are gonna head off. Gonna go and raid someone possibly, if I can find something. See if we can find someone to raid. Well, that is dropping my phone. That is also dropping it on the headphone wire. That was really not a great idea. That was a brilliant sequence of events. Hopefully never to happen again. Okay. I am going to head off. Am I gonna raid? Is there anyone out there? I don't know. Who's streaming PinOut? Is it just me? Yeah, it's just me. Alright. Fine. I think I'll head off. But thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for being here today. I am going to be back Saturday. Maybe we'll even have a game show. We might have a game show in there. Oh, that was close. might have a game show. There could be any of our current 3 that we have going on. And that'll be pretty cool to see if there is. I mean, if there isn't, then we will be at least drawing the game show raffle. Exclamation mark 3 will get you an entry into that. Sorry, I forgot to mention that today because I have been so distracted doing runs. But that's going to be it. I'm going to get off and highlight that PB, or not PB. It was a good run, to be fair. It wasn't a PB. But I'm going to get off and highlight that. So, thanks everyone again, and I'm not going to raid. I'm just going to head off. But thanks everyone. That took me like almost 10 minutes to settle that, or like 7, I don't know. Not that I'm conscious of the time or anything, but yeah. Thanks for watching, and if I do a 3D world speedrun, then that will be pretty cool. If I actually get around to learning stuff again, then I will definitely be doing that on Saturday. But thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.